In a move that left many observers speechless, Pope Leo XIV uttered words that, at least on the surface, did not sound like a mere formality. During an official meeting at the Vatican, the Pope recalled a series of recent texts that in recent years have sparked deep divisions and raised questions that are far from marginal. The meeting took place with the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith and did not go unnoticed. On the contrary, the words spoken by the pontiff immediately took on a significant doctrinal and symbolic weight because they directly concern some of the most contested documents of recent years, signed or promoted by the current prefect of the congregation, Victor Manuel Fernandez, known as Tucho. The role of the prefect is not neutral. Fernandez comes to the doctrine of the faith after a long career as the personal theologian of the previous pope, and after an editorial output that sparked scandal and perplexity in large sectors of the Catholic world. His appointment, from the outset, was interpreted as a sign of discontinuity with the Dicastery's traditional approach, historically oriented toward the rigorous safeguarding of the deposit of faith. The resulting tensions have never truly subsided. In this context, the words of Leo XIV take on a value that goes far beyond institutional courtesy. The pontiff affirmed that the texts developed under Fernandez's guidance provide pastoral and theological guidance on often very sensitive issues. This isn't a vague formula. It's a declaration that accredits those documents as legitimate instruments of ecclesial guidance, even as many faithful and numerous pastors consider them a source of confusion. Among the texts cited, the declaration Dignitas Infinita, published on April 2024, stands out. The document has attracted widespread criticism for its approach. Intrinsically evil acts such as end-of-life practices are placed within a single conceptual framework alongside social phenomena such as war, poverty, and immigration. Everything boils down to the concept of human dignity. Pope Leo XIV did not distance himself from this approach. On the contrary, he implicitly confirmed it by citing it among the reference texts. The issue isn't terminological, it's theological. Equating absolute moral evils with historical or social tragedies means altering the hierarchy of moral values, shifting the focus from the objective order of good and evil to a predominantly anthropological evaluation. This is the crux of the matter that has worried many observers, and this very crux is now being legitimized from above. Even more delicate is the reference to the new rules on the discernment of alleged supernatural phenomena published on May 17, 2024. These rules eliminate the possibility of formal recognition of the supernatural origin of the apparitions, allow for the pastoral promotion of phenomena deemed uncertain, and centralize decision-making power in Rome, drastically reducing the margin of discernment of local bishops. Leo XIV affirmed that these norms have allowed for the resolution of specific cases, explicitly citing the spiritual experience of Medjugorje. Here too, the data is objective. The Pope didn't speak of prudence, nor of a suspension of judgment. He spoke of resolution. For many faithful, however, this resolution appears to be a pastoral normalization without any recognized supernatural foundation, a compromise that leaves open all ambiguities. The fact that the Pope presents it as a normative success marks a clear direction. The third document directly cited is the note Mater Populi Fidelis, dated November 4, 2025, which takes a stand against traditional Marian titles such as co-redemptrix and mediatrix of all graces. Leo XV described this note as bringing precise and important clarifications for Mariology. Here too, there has been no softening. The headlines that for decades have fueled popular piety and theological debate are being scaled back in the name of greater doctrinal sobriety. Alongside these texts, the pontiff also recalled other documents: Gestis Verbisque on the validity of the sacraments, Antiqua et Nova on the relationship between artificial intelligence and human intelligence, a dear doctrinal note reaffirming monogamy. The list, taken as a whole, reveals a coherent pattern, a magisterium addressing diverse areas, but always using language that prioritizes pastoral adaptation and conceptual reinterpretation. The words used by Leo XIV to evaluate this production are particularly significant. The documents, he said, have been of great benefit to the spiritual growth of the holy and faithful people of God, and offer a ready and clear word from the Church, especially in the face of the many new phenomena emerging on the stage of history. The adjective clear is striking, because it is precisely clarity that many contest. According to the pontiff, these texts also provide a precious guide to bishops in the exercise of their pastoral action and to theologians in their service of study and evangelization. In other words, they are not marginal or debatable documents. They are presented as benchmarks. This is where the issue becomes ecclesiologically disturbing. When a pope publicly accredits a disputed doctrinal line, he effectively transforms it into a normative horizon. Even without dogmatic definitions, the direction is being set. Anyone who dissents risks appearing as someone resisting not a theologian, but the living magisterium. This is the fracture that opens up. The picture that emerges is that of a church that chooses to reassure the world rather than admonish it, to interpret the signs of the times rather than judge them, to harmonize tensions rather than resolve them truthfully. These are not attributed intentions, but the logical consequences of official texts and declarations. The concern arises precisely from here, not from what is said sensationally, but from what is normalized. When hotly contested documents are presented as beneficial and clarifying, the issue is no longer the individual formula, but the overall direction. And that direction today appears more defined than many had hoped. The pontificate of Leo XIV, at least on this front, does not present itself as a phase of revision or rebalancing. On the contrary, it shows signs of continuity and consolidation. This is a fact, and like any fact, it deserves to be viewed without filters, because the consequences will not only be theoretical, but pastoral, spiritual, and inevitably ecclesial. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment, Amen. God bless you.